Hi, I'm Carol, and this is
Eric.
And we are flirting with realities.
Caught me off guard. I would have been like,
I know.
Eric.
I wanted to. I thought it was funnier that way. Because I was just like, with silence. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, it was a good one. So what do we got going on? You were gone last week, so we didn't do a...
I was in Alaska.
Your children.
Yes.
And I was just stuck here in a time lapse where I don't know what happened to life. I was just blink my eye and it was 10 days later when you came back. It's you and I have both been talking about that, right?
Our time lapse?
Yeah, how time is like the world is not real right now, but neither is time.
Yeah.
Time's not like we literally wake up and then we go to bed and we just like we're tripping out over how not even our day doesn't exist.
I literally felt like when I was leaving Alaska, like I had just gotten there.
But I think a lot of people might confuse what we're saying with, oh yeah, time flies.
Yeah.
Which is not what we're talking about. Like time is fly. Like I know what that means. Yeah. But right now it's way harder to deal with. Like I literally feel like next week I'll be 85 and dead. I mean, it feels like time's going by that quickly. So I don't know. So anyway, time flies, and you were gone to Alaska, and I don't know. I guess I have a lot of things I could talk about right now. You know, life.
Take your pick.
Yeah, life seems pretty intense. What do you want to talk about?
I think we just go with whatever. Make it supernatural. Comes to your mind, Eric.
Well, what are you doing in life then?
Enrique. I am actually doing a lot of things. I got a wild hair and want to make these, you can call them supplements, but natural things for your skin and electrolytes and lotion that's like a natural hormone to boost hormones for women naturally because of progesterone. Anyway, so there's that. I want to do that. I've been working on my dating with purpose course, which I got a little stuck on because I don't like it how it presents itself on my website. But I checked out a couple free platforms today, and after going through both of them all the way through, they were both disappointing, which was fine. It was kind of fun to check them out, but so I'm still searching for a way to deliver that's up to my standards. And I don't know if I said I'm job hunting. I have an interview tomorrow for a part-time job, full-time job, I don't even know, but a job.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of just like fine with it. If it comes to fruition, I'm ready to work, and if not, I'll just keep plugging away and farting around with what I'm doing.
Yeah, it seems like to me it seems like the present and the future is kind of insecure, and I don't know if you agree, but I guess I feel like I'm having a hard time knowing what to expect day to day, like what's coming and going, and I don't know, every day just seems like there's a new surprise and something to deal with.
I'm definitely on the same page as you, babe. There is obstacles. I don't know. I think we're kind of in a escape room still together.
Yeah, mental escape room. But it's like I was talking to you tonight about I bought some wheels to work on for the business, and they came with tires, and I just was like, whatever, I just want to get some of my money back, and so I put them up cheap, and people were all over them, and I don't know if it's in my head because I'm definitely making this all up, but that's what we were talking about is this silent depression that we're in, and
I don't think it's all in your head.
Well, but that's the part about being silent about it is when the media doesn't report and nobody reports like what is happening in the world. When you got to kind of guess, and I think that's where we've been is just kind of guessing. And I mean, I cashed out my stocks. I mean, when was that? 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, I cashed out my stocks. So I'm like, oh, this is not good. COVID, blah blah blah. I'm getting out, and then I think I realized that I got out too early, and then it kind of makes you go like, well, was I wrong about this? And now it's like I'm looking around and I'm starting to see the suffering. I feel like, I mean, I don't, maybe I'm making it up. But anyway, I put these tires on and they were cheap and people were all over them, which is, a lot of people wouldn't say that means anything. But, I look around on social media too. And I mean, everybody's complaining, like, and I think you should be because, like, everything's really expensive right now and really, really hard to deal with. And I don't know. I think it's just starting to like really sink in and hurt people. And, I think the housing market that's ready to go. And then,
Yeah.
like, I mean, I should have thought out of it, but I didn't even think about it. But the one guy was saying, if you're one of the many, many people that live on credit, like you're not going to go ahead and get a second mortgage anymore because it's like a 7% now.
Yeah.
And that's always been a crutch for people, that need to spend money. It's like, well, we'll just get some money out of the equity. And so, you could do that, but it's 7%, which is, yeesh, and so like that's all going to start running out. All these things that we've been counting on over the years are going to start running out. And I think that's where we're at. I think we're at the point where it's running out. And I think the pain's going to start. I think that's where we're at. And I think you and I are feeling that too, right? Like, it's getting hard to, I mean, like that's what I was talking to you about is like, I've been poor a good portion of my life, but I was kind of not worried about it this time because I'm like, well, just you eat ramen or rice and beans. But all of a sudden it's like, that's not enough. Like it's impossible to not spend a ton of money anymore. Like everything just costs. Like I went and filled up my car and it was $95 for gas. Like 95 bucks. So I think the pain's coming. I think it's here. And I think this is going to get interesting. And I don't think it's going to take long to get super interesting.
Yeah.
So I think we're both kind of feeling that. And it's kind of like, oh my God, it feels tense. But, thankfully, there's a lot of people out there that I think are not willing to accept that. And so they're still spending some money. And hopefully we can make some money while they're still spending. And I don't know, we got our stuff going. We got our hydroponics going. I think
that's super exciting.
Yeah, I hope I made some big mistakes last week that kind of cost some plants. And, but I hope that's the learning curve is over.
I think that's just part of it though.
Yeah, I know it is. But I don't usually hang out with people like you that are willing to accept that.
Oh.
People are usually like, why'd you do that? And it's like, well, that's how you learn.
Well, I think, you know up front now what the limits are.
Well, and so what I did is I added too much nutrient, and so it burned the plants, and it really harmed the plants. But where we were sitting before I did that was we didn't have enough nutrients. We followed the instructions from the manufacturer, and we didn't have enough nutrients, and we kind of didn't know what was going on. Like things didn't look great. And so I was like, well, let's just get after it. And I just started throwing scoops of nutrients in the tank. And it started doing amazing. And I was like, a little's good, more is better. And so I wanted to find that upper end, and I found that. But then we moved to new nutrients too, so it's another ballgame. But it's going to give us a great understanding when we make a ton of mistakes and move to different nutrients and everything. We're going to be super knowledgeable, and we can fix all the problems when they come up next time.
I think it's great that we know this now before there's some super depression going on, and I think it's good to know all that up front.
Yeah, well, I might as well get into it because I think it's in the front of both of our minds, right? Like this podcast we just watched with Rob Dyrdek, and I had an epiphany last week, and the epiphany was to do good in life. Basically, all you need is health, which grows your consciousness, which grows your awareness, which grows everything. Like it's like how smart you are, it's how much energy, it's everything. Like you have to have your health. And then my addition to it is like you just give love to people. But I think I don't know, I think that's where we're going with all that, right? Is like our hydroponics is going to do that for us, but it's kind of like I've talked about with you is where you have put a lot of time and effort into your health. I feel like I've put a decent amount too, but I'm time wise and behind you. But I think us both together, like we've gone somewhere. I don't know. Do you want to talk about this? I feel like I'm kind of stumbling a little bit here, but
we've gone to another level, you mean?
Well, and I don't want to put it that way. It's just when you eat good and you exercise and you meditate, but this is what we were just talking about. It's like who doesn't know this? But nobody knows this.
But I think the thing about it is, and even Rob was talking about how you can diet and you can intermittent fast, let's say, and you feel really good and you lose the weight, you get the body, you get the muscles that you've wanted, and then things will start. You have this amazing boost of fucking energy that you're like zinging like you're Zeus, you're like Thor or the god of thunder.
Top of the world.
Yes. And then you allow some things to trickle back in because you're like, yes, you're like, I'm gonna have this creamer in my coffee. Maybe a little extra sugar. Yeah. And you're still killing it. Your body still looks good because you're a fucking machine right now. But you start allowing a donut or two, and it's just like he said, the energy fades.
Yeah.
Slowly fades. And even though you're being healthy, you're no longer being super clean. That energy goes away. You don't really understand it. You don't really understand what's happening. And
the worst part is momentum.
Yes.
The momentum turns to everything bad.
Yeah. It seems to be that way. And it's just a learning curve that I think it's like Rob said, everybody's formula might be a little bit different, but it seems as though the diet piece of it is the same. Maybe your diet will be different, like what's clean for you. Like if you get a glucose monitor, like maybe I can eat apples and maybe you can't. Yeah. So maybe that part of it will fluctuate. But yeah, I don't think anyone's expected to know. Like, yes, you know, but to truly understand, like, you really need to play around with your fucking diet.
Well, and so here's the funny part, right? Is that you're eating McDonald's or Taco Bell or whatever for your 3 meals a day and your sodas and candy and stuff. I think even they're going to be like, well, yeah, I mean, nutrition is going to like make you feel better and it's going to make you think better and everything, like, shit. But if you're in that situation where you're eating those foods, you're not nourishing your brain. It's almost like you can't think. It's not almost. You can't think. You're not all there. You're somewhere else. You're kind of a zombie. You're in a different place.
Well, I think a whole lot of things are going on. I think your body sends, when you're eating like that, your body distracts you with craving more of those things.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's a whole cluster of things that are happening to you when you are, for sugar, for me, I can tell instantly. Like, I am just not, I feel like I have an instant hangover.
Yeah. So, but where I was going with that is this, so if you're on like a crap diet, I think you recognize, well, yeah, it makes you feel better and think better and all that stuff. But it's like you can't. It's kind of the funny part because you are not on a level because you're eating that way. You're not on a level to understand anything, basically. And I know that sounds rough, but I believe it to be true at this point, where you don't understand anything the way that somebody who's been eating clean for 5 or 10 years and exercising and meditating does. You don't have the awareness, you don't have the conscious. So, yeah, I understand. Like, okay, I'm a McDonald's guy. No, I get it. Like, eat good, and you know, okay, I get it. But no, you don't get it because you're not thinking. You're not using your brain.
Yeah.
If you tell this to a person who's been dieting and exercising and meditating, they would be like, yes, this makes total sense. And they do understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
But I don't think people understand when you eat like crap and you treat your body like crap and you're watching TV all day. I don't think they understand how far gone they are.
No.
You are not here. You are not on this earth. Like you are gone. You are a zombie.
But it's literally the software program has taken control of you, and what it is saying is, give me more of these things. This is all I want. Don't do anything else.
Yes. And so, I mean, you want to talk conspiracy theories. That's what we were talking about. I was like, isn't it funny? I was talking about Disney and Bambi. Like, Bambi ruined hunting for, I can't even imagine how many people. And why is that a problem? It's a problem because hunting gives you quality food. So at this point, it gives Americans the most quality food besides maybe having your own garden.
Not only does it do that, but it would eliminate issues of these over farming and environmental issues if we were.
Yeah, I don't know how far we could get into it, but I think it would be a problem. If everybody hunted, we'd have a problem too.
Yes, that's true.
So, I mean, there's issues with that, but like anyway, my point is like Bambi ruined hunting, but like it's like nobody grows their own food anymore, you know, and like what if I don't understand. I mean, I do understand, but it's like we've talked about every person in the whole entire world should plant an apple tree in their front yard. For no other reason than like everybody would have food for that month or whatever it is, you know? But if you had fruit trees, which in a lot of places it doesn't even take any effort to grow those things, everybody's got fruit now. But what if like everybody had their own garden? And I know that's a lot of work for people that are doing a full-time job, but you know, it's like all of our food is set up not nourish us at this point. All of it.
All of it.
Because I was saying, so like
even our produce.
Yeah, but especially the produce, because we're learning about glyphosate and Roundup, and it's in like it's in everything.
Monsanto.
Yeah, it's in everything. So if you're eating vegetables, there's a good chance it's got this in it, and so you're not only is it not in it got any nutrients, but it's got stuff that's killing you in it. You know, and like ruining your health. So and then even if you get organic that shouldn't have that in it, I guess it still does because they say almost all rainwater has it in it. But even if you get organic, now you're talking about how long ago was your head of lettuce cut before it was delivered to the store? I don't know. Maybe it's only a day or two, but I don't think so. I think it's been on that truck for a week. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I went to the store and I wanted lettuce, and I looked at it and I'm like, hell no. I don't that wilted lettuce. So not only is it old, they probably cut it too early too, right? Because they want it to be at the store when it's fresh. But I mean, there's just so much going on, but it's like, I think at this point you have to grow your own food. You have to grow your own food, and then we're talking about this is another thing. You and I were just talking about we need to start pushing ourselves to do better. I think we need to go buy a half a cow from down the road. There are people who have cows, and you can buy a half a cow and then butcher it up, put it in the freezer. I think.
Well, yeah, grass-fed meat is gonna really eliminate a lot of. Well, I mean, we're eating meat that has antibiotics in it, basically.
I mean, what else?
Yeah.
What else? How old was it?
Yeah.
How was it slaughtered? Was it terrified when it was slaughtered? You know,
there's
because it
a
watched
lot
the rest
of
of them.
Things involved.
Was it like forced into some other cow's ass before it was? You know, I mean, like there's so much going on. Did it walk around on one square foot of space before? You know, like all that stuff is like this is not good.
Yeah.
But the thing is like this is all by design. Like we're talking about. We were watching that one dude that was talking about grinding his own wheat. And he was talking about flour, and he was talking about how flour has everything taken out of it. But before it had everything taken out of it, it had like some of the most nutrient. It was the most nutritious stuff in the whole world.
82 of the minerals, or some good amount of.
And I guess actually,
don't quote me on that. It had just a lot of more minerals and vitamins in it.
Yeah, like you could live off it alone. So
yeah,
like one of the things you could like flourish on. Which talk about pushing ourselves. Maybe we need to get into that too. But he was talking about it's one of the most nutritious things in the world to have this ground wheat berries. And then all of a sudden they started taking these wheat berries, like I don't know, it was the 50s or something, taking this flour and they extracted
the bleached flour.
Yeah, they took everything out of the flour. Everything. And they took it, like the flour became so it went from like one of the best things ever for you to it was like really messing people up because it was making them nutrient deficient.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why flour is enriched, is because they had to put stuff back into it because it was jacking people. So, like, how does this happen? How are we getting all this food? Like our factory farming with the animals is jacked, our produce is jacked, like the flowers, like everything is jacked. So you can't even eat at the store anymore. But I think that's by design, right? And that's what we're talking about is if they get you dumb and they malnourish you, then you're just dumb and you're a slave and you're easily controlled. And then guess what? When you're dumb, that makes a normal person smart. And I mean, is that a crazy conspiracy to think like maybe they're making you dumb? So like instead of like going through the effort of figuring out how to make themselves geniuses, they just have to be normal. And then if you're dumb, that makes them a genius.
Well, do you remember that lady on that show we were watching where she said slavery was the all-time #1 money-making business of all time?
Yeah.
And I don't think people realize that this is all a form of slavery that's going on.
Yeah.
And it's shocking to think about, I think, for some people, that they're a slave to a system. And it may be like, oh, that's just a conspiracy theory. But if you like really stop and take a look, that your food that you're being provided has no nutritional value. I mean, that right there is, I think, super shocking.
Yeah, I mean, it's like that's a great way to make somebody a slave. You dumb them down.
Yeah.
You dumb them down, and I don't think that it like anybody that has a brain. If they're well, we're not slaves. Hey, listen, man, how much do you pay in taxes?
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, it's not what it says on your tax form.
No.
Ain't that like we've talked about that? Like we've talked about that. When you pay taxes, like okay, yeah, you pay your 25% or whatever you pay on your tax form. But you're not considering when you license your car. You're not considering when you get gas that has tax in it. I mean, that's not sales tax, property tax.
The taxes that the people have paid to get the products to this point that you're probably paying a portion of in the product price.
Oh, I don't think that's a portion. Like when they say a loaf of bread's been taxed however many times, there has to be a majority of that loaf of bread has to be taxes. But it's all hidden. They've gotten so well high. Well, then not even on top of that, inflation is tax.
Yeah.
So how much are you paying in taxes today? Inflation, like I don't know if they're sticking to this 10% number, but I mean, we're talking. What did I see the other day? I bought something the other day, and I was like, oh my god, it's 300% higher than it was the last time I bought it. Like that's not 10%.
No, it's not.
300, and that's not like you have to look far for 300%. Like things have doubled easily across the board.
Another thing to think about is if we had amazing infrastructure and education and transportation where you could see this money was showing up in a good way for you to flourish as a human, that would be one thing. But there's none of that. That is not happening.
No.
And then, in fact, you have dwindling police,
Services.
dwindling fire departments. So, I mean,
if you have a car with no title in Washington State, you're supposed to go to an office and have it inspected so you can get a title. But since COVID, they have not had that service. Yeah. So for 3 years now, if you have a car without a title, well, I mean, technically you haven't been able to license it. It's a service that went away because they can't afford to do it anymore. That's crazy.
It is crazy.
But you know what I was talking to my son about yesterday too, is we were talking about his school, and he lives in it's a pretty good neighborhood. I mean,
yeah,
I don't think there's much crime and there's no like bad people. It's like a very like white suburban, like feel good neighborhood. Like nobody's gonna feel endangered, I don't think. But it's a well-to-do school. And actually he told me like it's top 5 or something for fundraising in the whole country. Something weird like that. I might be misquoting him, but it was a big deal. So the school pulls in a lot of money. But guess what this school does? This school feeds every student breakfast and lunch for free. Every one of them. Why? This is this is a school that lives in a good neighborhood. All these people have a good amount of money. I mean, are we going to talk about conspiracy theories? Like, would you bring them in? Because this is a trip, right?
Yeah,
this is
and
a trip.
What are they feeding them too?
That's what I'm saying. This is a trip. We're in a school, and you guys are feeding them donuts and muffins, and for Christ's sakes, every meal has chocolate milk. Explain to me why there's chocolate. There should not be chocolate milk as an option for school. Like there, in one carton of chocolate milk, one little pint of chocolate milk, that is your daily dose of sugar. Are you going to tell me that whoever's in charge of the food for schools doesn't know anything about nutrition? You know, this is across the board.
That's a requirement nowadays.
You know, this is across the board, across the country. Why is there chocolate milk being offered to all our children? But this is what I'm saying. Like when I take my kids to school, it's like fucking candy for breakfast. I don't know what they're eating for lunch. It's probably, but that's, we know like school lunch is probably worse than prison lunch.
Pizza. It's and the pizza is gross.
Why can't you nourish a child?
Yeah, like we've talked about, potatoes are cheap.
Rice and beans?
Yeah.
And you know, maybe you'd argue like, well, the kids aren't going to eat rice and beans. Well, guess what? My kids don't eat like the hamburgers, the chicken nuggets. Like nobody's eating that crap.
Yeah.
Nobody's eating that slop. Like it is like, that's what I'm saying. Like prison food is better than like school food, which is weird. Why is this a thing? Why are those meals like? And that's what I was talking to him about. I'm like, why are the meals subsidized? Why are they paid for? And it's the thing I heard is, well, people can't afford to feed their children. Like no. You can cook a couple eggs, and that's probably about 10 to 15 cents. And if you don't have 10 to 15 cents, your child needs to be taken away from you because you're not providing for your child. So, and that's healthy, right? Eat some eggs or something. So what's going on when they're paying And I was like, well, this is what I do with my tax dollars. This is why schools need more money. I'm feeding other kids. That's what I'm doing with my tax money. Like that, and I'm feeding them bad food on top of that. No, like no. This is I don't know. You know, I don't know if you can call something like that a conspiracy or just whoever's in control is an idiot. But
it's hard to say, but I mean, if it's across the board, it would seem more like a conspiracy than everyone could be an idiot.
I've always like been like, man, I'd like to. What if you were on the PTA and you're like, I have a question. Like, can somebody tell me why there's only garbage offered for food? You know, and like, what I mean, what would your excuse be? What would your excuse be? Like, well, we're limited on money. Well, no, because there's plenty of stuff you can eat for cheap.
I think it's like the whole Cisco conspiracy type thing where they just buy their food, they all get it from some same similar place.
There's got to be somebody else in the entire world other than me going, who is in control of this program?
Oh, I'm sure. There has to be.
Yeah, who's in control of this program and why are they not bringing in good food? Do you not know what good? Do you need me to help you out and talk about what good food is? Or are you doing this on purpose? And I'm going to say at this point, it has to be on purpose because there's no way you're going to put somebody in control of nutrition and food that doesn't know about nutrition and food. This is not I mean, I don't know, man. The world's so crazy, maybe. Just get rid of the chocolate milk and you'll make me happy. Chocolate milk. Think about it. Chocolate milk.
I think they need to do more than get rid of the chocolate milk.
I know, but like...
These kids deserve to have clear minds while they're in school. And that kind of food is just... Well, I refuse to eat school food, so I would just starve. I'm sure a lot of kids do that. Because that food is disgusting.
It's insane. Insane what they feed them. I don't know. But it's either everybody's super dumb, which is possible, and it's possible because everybody eats like crap. So you know, it's kind of like, well, I don't know. I mean, I guess what we just got done talking about, like everybody could be completely out of it because they do eat like crap, and you know, maybe they're just not aware. But it's either people are super dumb or they're trying to. I mean, this is what I was talking about. I was like, it's a double dose because if you malnourish somebody, now not only are they dumb and they do everything you need to do, but then all of a sudden they get to go to the hospital and then you make your money at the hospital too.
Yeah.
Which is awful smart of them, convenient, if that's what they're doing. So
I mean, I think that's a good argument. That's exactly what is happening.
But you can't talk to anybody about this because nobody understands it because everybody's eating like crap. You're that guy if you start talking about diet and nutrition. Nobody wants to hear it. Everybody's like, dude, these chicken nuggets I'm eating are delicious. Leave me alone.
I think that's why Andrew Tate was like stirring up the world so much. Is because he's talking. Well, I think he might be being a little quiet right now, but because that's what he's talking to young men about.
Yeah, well, it's all interesting, but I guess you just got to worry about yourself. And I think that's what you and I are talking about. Is we're talking about we're going to level up. Like we're going to fire this shit up.
Yeah, I mean, I think you take care of yourself, and I mean, I'm on board with what Andy Frisella says, that that's where you start, and then people can see that, and that's how you can impact other people, is they're gonna see that you feel fucking good and you're successful in things you do, and it'll change the world eventually.
Well, but that's where my thought of like all that needs to happen is nourish your body, treat your body good, meditate, but then love. And that's what I'm talking about when I say love. Is like you just love people and you just like you lead by example.
Yeah.
and like, you don't, hey man, you need to exercise. Like, you don't need to, it's just like, hey, look, I'm flourishing. I'm doing good. Can I help you? Can I
Yeah,
help
if
you
you have
flourish?
any questions, I'm fucking here to answer them
Yeah.
for you.
Like, and just be an example and be impossible for people not to notice and be like, what is she doing? Like, damn, I gotta get on board with that. You
Yeah,
know?
this is where I talk about being of service, and I think that's what it is, just being available, like first, like walking the walk, and then being available for people if they're wanting to walk your walk.
Well, you know what's funny is you're watching a UFC fight or a basketball game, and the crowd starts cheering. Like, how does that cheer start? How does like whatever just white noise turn into 20,000 people shouting the same thing? It's because one person started shouting, and then everybody else was like, "That's a really good idea. I'm going to shout it too." And then it's a wave, and then
Yeah.
everybody's shouting it. But like, if you tell me, like, yeah, hey man, why don't you go to a UFC fight and like start saying Biden sucks? Like, I'd be like, dude, like, I'm not gonna be able to start that chant, right? Like, but that's what you got to believe in. You got to believe I'm going to start this chant, and that's what you got to do. So you nourish yourself, and then you start this chant like health, 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 and then people around you hopefully are catching on. Health, 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 and then it's a trend. We need to start a trend.
Thought form.
Yeah, it's a thought form. It's like when it never used to be publicly acceptable to be super overweight. And then all of a sudden, when it was publicly acceptable, that's when everybody became overweight because there was no peer pressure, there was no social pressure. Or like smoking. Like smoking used to be just what everybody did. And now it's not cool, so people don't do it. What if it was cool to be healthy? And that seems like a big thing to do, but that's where I feel like the only hope is you take care of yourself, and then you lead by example, and you hope you affect other people around you, and you hope those people that you affected affect other people, because that's what we're doing, right? Like Rob Dyrdek just had a podcast and he's affecting us.
Yeah.
That's what he's doing, is he's leading by example. And so we've got to take his example because he's further than us, I believe, and then we project and then we move on. And like, I think that's why you've got all these people that are doing podcasts and putting all this information out there, is because it's like we're all like consciously like, let's all get together and fire this up.
Well, I think even more so since the world's in upheaval, is that's how we're going to make changes, is by not being quiet about it and being available for people if they have questions, and motivating them and firing them up like Rob did to us tonight. Even though we're on that bandwagon, he like put us on another level, even though you were at another level, so it's even another further level. Anyway, this is what I think the world needs to.
Well, even if you don't influence other people, this is how you survive.
True. I think that's the most important thing. Who the fuck do you want to be?
Well, and it's the cliche example of when that plane's going down, man, you got to put that oxygen mask on yourself. And you don't put it on yourself to be selfish. You put it on yourself because that's how you help other people.
Exactly.
You know, you need to survive. You need to survive all this. And you need to be clear minded. And then you can help other people.
That's why I talk a lot about boundaries and self love. And because to truly, I think to give love is you have to have your mask on first and
Yeah.
be able to take care of yourself and know who the fuck you are, but also who the fuck you want to be, which, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, how are you going to love somebody if you don't have love to give? And you don't have love to give unless you take care of yourself.
Yeah.
You know, so that's what I was trying to explain to you. When I don't feel like I can explain myself so much. Is like, let's fire this up. Let's get as healthy as we can, and then that's how That's how you're successful in life, is you spread, because we're going to have so much to give.
Yeah.
We already do.
Yeah.
You know, and that's kind of what we're hoping with this podcast too, right? Like,
I mean, that's everything that I'm doing.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when we met, we took a trip to the beach and you asked me if I could do anything, what would it be? And I said, I want to be of service to the world. So that is, I think that's what all of this is.
Yeah, it's kind of exciting when you talk like that, because it's like, I don't like dreams. I like thoughts that turn into reality, you know? And I like
don't think it has to be a dream.
Well, I just like seeing that when you look back in hindsight, you can see that there's progress on those thoughts. You know, and that's what I want to do, is I want to get jacked on nutrition and like just go.
That's what we're doing.
What we're doing. What we're gonna do. It's already done. This is what I tried telling you. It's already done.
The past already.
It's already done. It's already happened. We're here, so it's already done.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if this podcast will make sense to anybody. I feel like
if you get to see it.
Yeah, we're still not being shown on Spotify. So I think we got episodes 4 to this one's 10, I think. Pretty sure this is 10. So I think we got episodes 4 through 10 that I've saved. I don't know about 1 through 3. Oh, but we might have 1 through 3 on Spotify.
Is on Spotify. 1, 2, 3, and 5 are on Spotify.
Can you download off Spotify?
I don't know.
We'll have to figure that out, because I think you had the right idea, is like Spotify's not working.
I'm gonna upload them to
just go
YouTube and maybe try to find another platform. I don't know.
Yeah, which is crazier. Did you ever email Spotify?
No, I didn't.
It might be an option too. But anyway, I guess this is episode 10, and so I mean, yeah, nobody's been watching because you can't even find it.
Yeah, well, because we're having technical problems, but that's okay. We'll just get a rush of episodes out on YouTube, and then maybe there's a lot of platforms out there.
Yeah, you know, I don't know. I'll email Spotify, but let's just put them on YouTube. Screw this. You know, hopefully go to something that works. So this is like, we've talked about this in past episodes. Like, we have no idea why something very common doesn't work. I mean,
well, the thing is it works for my podcast seamlessly.
But on the program or the app that Spotify has, all our episodes are on there.
Yeah,
they all show up. They say they're published. Yeah, but then you can't find more than like 3 or 4 episodes on if you search for it.
That's how I'm gonna market us. We were shadow banned on Spotify.
Yeah. The podcast that Spotify doesn't want you to see.
Yes.
Have I been calling it Spotify, or have I been calling it something else?
No, I think you've been calling it Spotify.
That's Shopify and Spotify. So, all right, what are we doing? 43 minutes? Feel good to you?
Feels really good.
Today is a day that I could rant about a lot of things for a long time. I feel like life is very woo right now. And so I feel like 43 minutes is kind of a good point for me here.
I think it's good.
Okay, well, we'll get these uploaded. Maybe we'll see you on YouTube. I guess we'll see you next Thursday.
See you next Thursday.
It's Thursday.
Thursday.
Okay. See ya.